Last June, J-Star's Victory Versus was released in the Western world. For the uninitiated, J-Stars serves as something of a party fighter, uniting iconic characters from 45 years of weekly Jump in one massive, ridiculous smash fest. Seeing as the game is chock full of Jump goodness, I thought it would be fun to talk about where each character comes from, and in which ways their techniques and stories from their respective series have made the transition from page to console. And thus, J-Stars Origins was born, as a way of showing off the effort put into making this game's characters and worlds authentic. And hey, if people decide to check out a series after playing J-Stars or watching this stuff, that's awesome too. So, without further delay, let's jump into the first installment of J-Stars Origins. It's no stretch to say that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is one of the most influential manga series of all time. Having sold over 80 million volumes since it started way back in 1986, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure could easily be considered one of the most successful manga series around. I mean, it's Shueisha, the company that publishes it in Jump's second longest running series, at a colossal 115 volumes, divided currently into 8 parts. The series is chock full of memorable characters, amazing fights, and gorgeous settings. With an impressive track record like this, it's no surprise that JoJo characters made it into J-Stars, a game celebrating 45 years of Jump history. But which characters from this titan of a series managed to make the cut? Well, if you're familiar with JoJo, the answer may actually surprise you. So, let's jump straight into characters. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has 2 playable representatives in J-Star's Victory Versus, Jonathan and Joseph Joestar. Jonathan Joestar being the main protagonist of the first part of JoJo, titled Phantom Blood, and Joseph Joestar being the main protagonist of the second part of JoJo, titled Battle Tendency. Wow, that was a lot of the word Joe. I mentioned these parts earlier, but I feel like I should clarify. The arcs in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure are somewhat similar to the concept of arcs in many manga and anime series, but not entirely. JoJo currently has 8 parts, the parts being Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency, Stardust Crusaders, Diamond is Unbreakable, Vento Oreo, Stone Ocean, Steel Ball Run, and JoJolion. Each part of JoJo is its own story, with a different lead protagonist in each, though the majority of these stories take place in the same universe, with some characters returning in later parts. Having such an abundance of parts and characters would make choosing which characters to include in J-Stars a very difficult task, especially with fan reactions in consideration. And as many characters would testify, the choices here are a bit strange. Not that I'm saying these are bad choices per se. I like Jonathan and Joseph as characters. I mean, Joseph is tied with Kira as my favorite character in all of JoJo, which is actually saying a lot. Oh, and also with Weather Report. I can't forget the very precious Weather Report. The thing is, though, most fans probably didn't expect Joseph, and especially not Jonathan, to make the cut. Again, not because they're bad characters, but because of the other available characters. Stardust Crusaders, Part 3 of JoJo, is widely considered to be the most well-known and popular. Anyone who knows something about JoJo probably knows the antagonist of Part 3 and the protagonist, Jotaro. Granted, YariYariDaze.net user Vish Epic Anime Gaming Empire found some character files in J-Stars for Jotaro and Dio, but at this point, since the game's kinda old, especially by its Japanese release date, it would appear as though they were simply cut characters. And since Jotaro and Dio are so iconic, and J-Stars is representing the 45 iconic years of Jump, they seemed like natural choices. However, it's understandable as to why Jonathan and Joseph were picked. The recent 2012 anime adaptation of JoJo was covering Part 1 and 2 at the time of development, so including these two doubled as a way to promote the anime. Anyways, that's enough background information. Let's talk about the characters themselves. Jonathan Joestar is a young man from England whose defining features are his kindness and noble attitude. His life undergoes many complicated changes when he begins to learn about a stone mask from another era that gives people terrifying vampiric powers. Did I say vampiric right? Joseph, on the other hand, is the complete opposite of Jonathan. Impulsive, rude, and willing to use dirty tactics to win, Joseph is not exactly the spitting image of his grandfather, but he is hilarious and uses his quick wits and charm to battle another ancient evil that's tied to Jonathan's struggle. While they may not have been the most requested characters in the history of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, These two Joestars are definitely great characters in their own right, and it's great to see them in their own bizarre glory here in J-Stars. With that, let's move on to their gameplay aspects. Alright, let's start with Jonathan, whose moveset is actually incredibly accurate to the manga and anime. Jonathan's intro has him pose, as could be expected from any JoJo character really. His running attack is actually a rugby tackle from his early rugby game with Dio, which is a neat reference to his abilities before he got magical sunshine power. His light attacks are pretty regular punches that lead into an overdrive barrage. His heavy attack, on the other hand, is a zoom punch, an attack that William Zeppeli taught Jonathan, which stretches the user's arm and hits opponents using the energy of the sun. Jonathan's specials, however, are where we get really into the nitty-gritty of his attacks from the manga and anime. A couple of these attacks have spoilers for part 1, so be warned. R1 and square lets you use the pike that Jonathan utilizes in his fight with the new and improved vampire Dio at the Joestar family manor. This attack starts with Jonathan spinning it, and then running forward and stabbing it like a javelin. R1 and circle lets you use the luck and pluck sword, given to Jonathan by the knight Bruford after their battle at Wind Knight's Lot. Jonathan slashes 3 times, and finishes with a giant downward slash. R1 and triangle lets you use Jonathan's grab, which is a very Darth Vader-y over-the-head throw. Pressing circle unleashes Jonathan's ever so iconic Sunlight Yellow Overdrive, used multiple times throughout Phantom Blood. The move is a flurry of punches powered by Jonathan's immense Haman energy, aka the power of the sun, again. Forward and circle unleashes his Sendo Haman Overdrive from his battle with Jack the Ripper. This attack creates a small cyclone in the ground that blasts the opponent away. Pressing R1 and X has Jonathan charge his energy meter, which makes him do another JoJo pose with Haman at the bottom from his training with Zeppeli. For Jonathan's Victory Burst attack, he uses his final Sunlight Yellow Overdrive from the battle with Dio in Dio's castle. Jonathan starts with his wonderful monologue about flaming blood and souls and stuff, which I am both proud and slightly embarrassed to know by heart. The attack then moves into a rapid flurry of Haman-powered punches, finishing with his Twist Scarlet Overdrive. And naturally, Jonathan's taunt is yet another wonderful pose that JoJo is famous for, though for some reason he says "yare yare da," which is Jotaro's phrase. But okay, all in all, Jonathan has made the transition to J-Stars quite nicely, as many of his more memorable attacks have made it into his moveset with impeccable accuracy. Anywho, it's time to move on to Joseph, whose moveset has some fantastic parallels to his attacks and actions from the manga and anime. Let's start with something a bit different, Joseph's running animation. Joseph's comical running is a reference to the ultimate Joestar technique used in the final battle with Cars, running away. I think the fact that this is his run in the game is absolutely fantastic, and it looks perfect. Joseph's intro is naturally another JoJo pose. His light attacks involve him swinging the clackers to hit his opponent, as he does throughout Battle Tendency. That's really all there is to it. For his jumping attack, Joseph slams the hammer from his fight with Wamu to the ground, which is a pretty awesome detail. Joseph's triangle attack makes him Zoom Punch, which he used against Cars' underlings. It's pretty much the same as Jonathan, so there's not too much more to say about that. Joseph's specials are much more accurate and fun for the most part. I believe that R1 in square has Joseph use his Ripple Hair attack, in which he blocks projectiles using Haman-powered hair. This was used on Santana with the help of Stroheim's hair. R1 in circle makes Jonathan set a wire trap, like the one used in his battle with AC/DC. The trap emits a small fizzle on the ground, making it somewhat noticeable. By pressing R1 in circle again, Joseph pulls the wire, snaring any opponent in a tight wrap. The opponent is then repeatedly shocked in the trap, leading to them falling to the ground. Failing to snare the enemy, however, leads to an iconic "oh no!" R1 in triangle makes Joseph do a rebuff overdrive, where he scoops his opponent off the ground and sends them flying upwards. This attack was used in the fight against Wamu. Forward in circle makes Joseph pull out his Tommy gun from somewhere and rapidly fire at any opponent in front of you, like when he opens fire on straights at the restaurant. Circle has Joseph use Clacker Volley, a rapid barrage of hits from his spinning clackers. This attack can lead into a Clacker Boomerang, where Joseph hurls his clackers with Haman energy, like during his first encounter with the Pillar Men. R1 and X charges Joseph's meter, which, like Jonathan, puts him in a JoJo position. Joseph's Victory Burst attack has him pull out the Red Stone of Aja, an item that's highly coveted by both Joseph's group and the Pillarmen, due to its immense power, especially when combined with the stone masks. So, Joseph rips out the stone, flaunts it a bit, and then uses it to change a number of his special attacks to explosive beams, projected from the stone. By pressing R3 again, Joseph will shoot a more powerful explosive ray at the opponent, decimating them. And Joseph's taunt is yet another fantastic pose. If you came here to see JoJo poses, you will not be disappointed. Altogether, Joseph has also made a great transition to J-Stars. I'd say the JoJo characters turned out great, as they both have decent movesets. With that, onto the music and setting. There aren't any JoJo stages in J-Stars, but the Anison TV Sound Edition, the Japanese version of the game, has the first opening of the 2012 anime, which is incredibly catchy and fitting, making it a good choice to represent JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as a series. And that's all the JoJo content. Though the characters chosen from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure may not have been expected, I think it's fair to say that it's pretty cool that you can use Jonathan and Joseph. Having Jonathan fight Kenshiro, or having Joseph fight Gintoki, is more than any fan could hope for, and they both feel as though they fit in rather well. If you've become interested in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure from what you've seen, the 2012 anime of Part 1, 2, and 3 are all available with English subs on Crunchyroll. Part 1 and 2 have also been dubbed and are available on DVD. Part 4 is even set to begin airing its anime adaptation, making it a truly wonderful time to be a JoJo fan. As for video games, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle is a fighting game available on the PSN, hosting characters from every current part. Eyes of Heaven, a sequel to All-Star Battle, is available in Japan currently, and will be coming to the West in the third quarter of 2016. Eyes of Heaven is a more team-based fighter, with even more characters to play as. The anime and games are definitely worth checking out, since the series has a form of over-the-top action and humor, alongside amazing plot structure that I haven't seen in this form in any other series. It's really a unique and fantastic series that lives up to its adventurous and bizarre name. And that concludes the first installment into the J-Stars Origins series. Here's hoping you enjoyed it, and if I missed anything, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.